Name a nigga like me, nigga. Hey. Name a nigga that trap like me. Name a nigga that strap like me. Name a nigga with a sack like me. All of these niggas try to act like me. You can hate but your bitch like me. And I know these niggas don't like me. Name a nigga who smoke like me. But you can't name a nigga like me. I'm pulling up fresh as a peppermint. Money so long, need a measurement. I'm getting it, you see the evidence. It's killers and guns in my residence. My niggas gon' up it, no hesitance. Feds blitzing, had to jump the fence. You wanna get rich, gotta take a risk. I'm starting 5, I started on the bench. You never met a nigga like me. I promise you it ain't likely. I'm so high, I can sight see. Brown bitty skin, iced tea. Now a nigga wanna fight me. The rah-rah don't excite me.
Hello again, this is BreiEndia in my 90-day self-journeys retreat in 808 Tavern. I wanted to elaborate on this day of self-pressure as I'm applying pressure to different areas of my thoughts, of my life, of my mind frame and all that. For anyone who is, of course, in disagreement or has any educational thoughts that they can give me to grow my perceptions, feel free to comment, DM, whatever you do, or don't say anything. Just, send a very lovely prayer for me to receive the insight and understanding. So I guess really briefly, I want to kind of elaborate on my view of the Christ concept as I am, continually trying to read and understand the Bible as it comes to a point of my being. Not to interpret it to become a dictator, but more so to understand it in alignment with the Quran and other types of historical written novels that are important and supposed to be aligned with words of God. So the Christ concept to me is that God placed a piece of himself within all of his children. I feel as though all of his children are the embodiment of Christ and as tribal souls connected and combined. So those of us who feel and are weighed down or uplifted dependent on other people's energy is because some souls are connected. So when there is an imbalance in the world to the point where everybody's vibrations are very low, it can cause conflictions. And then it starts to bring that awareness to people, but some understand it, some don't. And like someone like me, because I never, being raised Christian, I never really looked at other religions or, forms of power that involve the Creator. So as I did last year, I delved deep into just reading all these other religions. And at first, you'll see in my videos, I had some pretty negative views on a lot of other things that people practice or pray and how they pray. And, because you got some forms where people pray to the ancestors or they pray to other gods in history or whatever it may be. And I also didn't look at just religion. I looked at history as well because I'm big on timelines and understanding the overlapping of history and religion and, the health evolvement, world organization evolvement, all of those things. And, it's just when you look at like even the timeline of just 400 years alone itself, we still have time to evolve and grow and make effective changes as the tables turn and as things change. And we don't have to repeat what happened to us to the people who caused the pain or whatever it may be to our ancestors. And that is always the test, I feel, of the Creator of all things, is to see if we understand each test that he gives us, each part of the process that is presented to us when it comes to connecting souls. I feel as though that is a strength. I feel as though a weapon is fear of the enemy. He creates fear so that we're not capable of sharing and expressing God when a friend of ours is going through, dark soul, shadow work, or, when a friend of ours is confused or conflicted and needs to hear words of encouragement and needs to hear a prayer or needs to hear positivity. They don't need someone at that time that's going to encourage their ignorance or encourage that negative energy that they probably presented at that moment. And a part of that comes with those who are willing and to do the work of healing themselves, doing it and allowing themselves to also be there for others when they have strengthened their own, self. Because I don't go based on evil being based on the color of your skin, or, like that kind of stuff right there is like beyond low, if you ask me, when it comes to frequencies. And I view it as just recognizing your own intentions. It'll let you know whether or not there's things about you that you need to clear out in order to be able to allow great things to start to grow into your life and in your mind frame. And if you maneuver in a way that's trying to control people, for one, that is going to bring you down, because you cannot control anybody but your own spirit, as I mentioned before. And what you can do is you can you can grow that type of light within yourself to be that around anybody you're around and not allow them to influence you. And my mother was really heavily a teacher to me when it came to that. Even though sometimes she couldn't physically do certain things or be there, my mother's spirit always lingered over me because she's always been able to be very strong and not doing things that she doesn't want to do. So, like I always say, her and my dad were always opposites. So, he was very strong as well. And he used to always, like, somebody pull a gun out on you, be ready to be the first one to shoot. That's my dad. My mom is more, well, keep God with you and he won't even guide you to places that you don't belong. He won't even guide people to you that don't belong in your space and energy, But it depends on the type of warrior you are and what type of person you're evolving to be. Because if you're a person that does embody that energy of feeling as though you have to defend in the physical, then you have to understand that you also have to stay armored up in your spirit as well. So me, as I balance these things, I'm building strength in my spirit first, because I ultimately want to make sure that that part of me is protected and covered, by the Christ body. And like I said, to me, that is an embodiment of a combination of people whose souls are connected to God. And you'll know, you understand, you feel it. And those whispers, there's always going to be spirits and the ancestors trying to uplift you as well, because they are warriors of God in the underground just as much as we are physically. And these are all my views. Like I said, educate me if you feel something different. But this is what I feel from my day-to-day conversations and prayers with the higher creator of all things as I grow and I understand the evolving world around me and the energies around me. And as I write and I journal my emotions and my thoughts, I'm constantly trying to apply the pressure to myself to understand more than just my own emotions, but other people's as well. Whether they're saying something that isn't even that deep to look into, or they're saying something that sounds like there's an underlying message. Sometimes you can't help if you can hear something through somebody's words, whether it be a joke or not, and you can see the cry for help, or you can see the confusion or the distorted mentality of that person, and you don't want to judge them. But ultimately, some people don't know how to live in their truth. Some people don't decide that living in truth is what they want to do, or speaking their truth, and that's just fine. You don't have to. But I feel as though when you judge other people for doing it, it's like, okay, that's your trigger. You got to recognize the trigger too, whether or not, you've applied the pressure to your own faults before you sit here and you try to judge someone else and what they do, right or wrong. I could say I disagree with somebody drinking liquor, But who am I to say that? I used to drink liquor all the time. I still have an occasional glass of wine when I want to, sit back and mellow down. But ultimately, I'm not trying to be dependent on substances, as I've mentioned before when I was self regathering. I ultimately know that there are things that we overindulge in, and that's when it becomes a false idol. That's not to say that we're not allowed to do these things, but there's so many things to do in the world that's like, why do you have to do this negative thing every day, or this thing that you know is going to deteriorate your body and that's not natural or not meant for you to engage in or indulge in every day? We got to know and understand the necessities of life, which I do feel is, natural foods, a good water source, and activity and motions of the body to keep your blood flowing and your bones growing, and your activity helps you with daily living, and your mentality, your mental, and protecting yourself is also being armored in your spirit. And that is first, because when you go out here and you put the physical defense on, you have to be fully aware of what you're doing, why you're doing it, and understanding the messages and the downloads of the spirit and the spiritual realm, because you may be guided to do something that you never thought a day in your life you were supposed to do. But you got to just choose to allow the natural changes to take their course and ask for the guidance and protection and the ordering of your steps as you grow into this being of greatness that you're becoming, or that you already are, but you just need to step into more to be able to pour it out after you've poured it into yourself and grounded it. And that is that applying, that application of pressure, continuing to grow your knowledge, grow your spirit, protect your spirit, learn what that means, learn what it means to break cycles, to understand personal growth. And I certainly encourage you all to get closeness with the higher creator, the God, Allah, whoever you consider God to be in your life when it comes to words and titles. Understand that he is a form of energy in my mind frame, in which that means that no matter what you call him, he's present, and his spirit hovers over us in such a way that you choose what you want to recognize when it comes to the powers that be. And as the world is ever so changing, and I look at all the men and women, especially the black men and women who have died at the hands of the oppressors, and for trying to make changes first through their voice, even using these social media platforms, understand that this is the time to speak out and speak up about whatever it is that has been lingering on your spirit. And the first thing I had to do was remove fear. I have no fear of man, especially not of the old oppressor, because as the tables turn, you cannot do anything to damage my spirit, considering the fact that I have a destiny that I have to fulfill for the creator of all things. And the crazy thing is, I'm like a hybrid when it comes to my blood. So if you create something to kill me, it's going to have to be created to kill you as well, because that's my attachment. And because of that, I understand that my love has to be spread across the board to my friends as well as my enemies, my family as well as, my family's enemies. And that's why I love all people, because ultimately love is powerful. And love can be all the negative things that has been mentioned, but ultimately I don't view it as that, because there's tough love, there's easy love, there's blatant love. But love is love, and it is stronger than fear, hate, and any of those things, because it is something that people are still trying to learn to understand. It's even within themselves. Just like a father's love for his first child, whether it be a boy or girl, or for his wife or his mother, or whatever, and vice versa when it comes to women and her sons. Understand love and understand loving you and growing to pour it out into the world. This is BreiEndia, my 90-day self-journeys retreat in 808 Tavern. God bless.